U.S. defense chief warns Beijing over Taiwan, calls for communication. Lawmakers escalate calls for U.S. to retaliate over China's ban on Micron. Experts explain why Chinese officials have difficulty meeting U.S. counterparts at Shangri-La. Why do the salaries of Guangdong officials exceed that of Xi Jinping? U.S.-Taiwan signed trade deal amid rising China tensions.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin used his speech at Asia's biggest defense summit as an opportunity to warn over a possible devastating Taiwan conflict. He also repeatedly called for greater communication between the U.S. and the Chinese regime militaries. Bloomberg reported that at the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore on June 2nd, Austin noted, "Make no mistake, conflict in the Taiwan Strait would be devastating." He added, "The whole world has a stake in maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. The whole world. The security of commercial shipping lanes and global supply chains depends on it." Austin's warning comes after the Chinese regime has rejected multiple U.S. requests to meet his counterpart Li Shangfu at the annual defense conference, where both will attend. The Chinese regime demanded the U.S. lift Li's sanctions as a prerequisite for the meeting. The U.S. ruled out Beijing's request because Li was under sanction for importing Russian military equipment in 2018 when he was still a general and not promoted to military chief. The two military leaders briefly shook hands at dinner on Friday. Austin kept calling for communication between the two sides at the Shangri-La dialogue. He said, "For responsible defense leaders, the time to talk is every time, and the right time to talk is now. I'm deeply concerned that the PRC, the People's Republic of China, has been unwilling to engage more seriously on better mechanisms for crisis management between our two militaries, but I hope that will change and soon." Before arriving in Singapore, Austin stopped in Japan and met with military officials there. He cited a recent aggressive action from the Chinese regime as concerning signs that might quickly spiral out of control at some point without communication. The incident happened on May 27th when a Chinese fighter jet intercepted a U.S. reconnaissance plane over the South China Sea. The Pentagon called the action an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver. Two influential Republican lawmakers are urging the Biden administration to impose sanctions on a Chinese semiconductor company to address Beijing's ban on U.S. chipmaker Micron. They also want to prevent Japanese and South Korean firms from exploiting the ban from the Chinese regime. Michael McCaul, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and Mike Gallagher, chairman of the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, asked Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo for more decisive action against the CCP's move rather than export control actions. In a letter sent to Raimondo on June 1st, Bloomberg News reported that McCall and Gallagher said, "Failure to impose a cost upon the People's Republic of China for its malign behavior will only invite further such conduct. We believe that the time has come for the United States, alongside our allies, to firmly push back on the People's Republic of China's economic coercion." They added, "The U.S. government can no longer sit on the sidelines as the People's Republic of China selectively targets U.S. and allied entities with the goal of intimidating our businesses and harming our economic security." Last week, Raimondo warned the CCP that the U.S. won't tolerate Beijing's coercion on Micron. She said the CCP regime lacked any basis for banning the company and that the U.S. strongly opposes the measure. The two lawmakers also asked Raimondo to add China's leading chipmaker and Micron competitor, Changxin Memory Technologies, to the U.S. list of restricted entities. They wrote that Changxin's products are widely understood to serve military and surveillance end users, and the company co-invests with the People's Republic of China government and military-tied entities. In addition, McCall and Gallagher pressed Raimondo and her colleagues to work with Japan and South Korea to ensure they support the U.S. and don't exploit Micron's ban. "We must quickly work with Japan and South Korea to ensure Japanese and South Korean companies do not undercut Micron by taking its sales that were lost to the People's Republic of China unjustified boycott."
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin sought a meeting with his Chinese counterpart at the 2023 annual Shangri-La dialogue on June 2nd to 4th in Singapore, but Beijing declined. The Chinese Communist Party CCP's regime's actions reflect the strained relationship between the forces ruling China and the United States after the two sides have long-standing disagreements over human rights, Taiwan, the South China Sea, trade, and other issues. According to Reuters, Eli Ratner, U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Indo-Pacific, said, "We have had a lot of difficulty in terms of when we have proposed phone calls, proposed meetings, and dialogues." He added, "We have had an outreached hand on this question of military-to-military engagement, and we have yet to have a consistently willing partner." Zhu Feng, Dean of the School of International Studies at Nanjing University, explained why CCP had shown such disdain for the U.S. side. According to Zhu, that's because China's Minister of National Defense, Li Shangfu, is still under U.S. sanctions since 2018 because of the purchasing of combat aircraft and equipment from Russia. So Beijing believes that the U.S. does not sincerely wish to negotiate. Yun Sun, director of the China program at the Stimson Center, offers a different perspective. Yun said that the CCP defense officials do not want to meet the U.S. defense officials because they think that the risk of their militaries and the U.S. clashing is low. Yun added, had they believed the threat is higher, they would adopt a different attitude towards the mill-to-mill dialogue. Daniel Russell, a top diplomat for East Asia under Obama, said, Beijing is clearly favoring the economic relationship with American businesses and government over the more contentious political and defense channels. The topic of Chinese officials' salaries has always been the focus of public attention. A few days ago, it was reported that the salaries of community cadres in Hunmin Town, Guangdong Province, all exceeded $32,000 a year, which is higher than that of Chinese leader Xi Jinping. What is the reason for this? According to the 2022 salary distribution table for community cadres of Hunmin Town under the jurisdiction of Dongguan City, Guangdong Province, the town secretary, Deng Jinjiang, had an annual salary of over $36,400, and the deputy secretary, Deng Qianghong, and some other officials are paid $32,600. After the relevant data was released, some netizens commented, it's just a town, but its salary equals that of a city. Everyone living in Dongguan knows how rich Hunmin is. It's the richest town. Honestly, if they really get this salary, the Hunmin locals will think they're upright officials. The local income is much higher than this. The housing price is more than $2,800, and the town's GDP exceeds that of Daja County or even a city. According to a 2015 report by the People's Daily, the highest basic salary of state officials has increased from $990 to $1,600, and that of the lowest level employee has increased from $89 to $186. Chinese leader Xi Jinping is paid around $18,300 per year. His monthly salary is only about $1,500. The Chinese newspaper Wa'ao once cited an official in charge of personnel in a state council department as saying, after the new civil servant salary system was introduced in 2006, Chinese civil servant salaries were divided into 4 parts: position salary, level salary, work allowance, and living allowance. Although the income of civil servants is low, they've had many relationships and enjoy benefits such as holidays, pensions, and health insurance. The most important thing is that civil servants have a lot of allowances and subsidies, often several times the monthly salary recorded on the books.
The U.S. and Taiwan on June 1st signed a trade agreement to strengthen economic ties between both countries. It marks the first concrete achievement of the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade, launched by President Joe Biden in 2022. While the deal aims to boost commercial relations by improving customs, investment, and other regulations, the Washington Post noted it wouldn't mean any change in tariffs on traded goods nor answer the island's complaints about double taxation in the U.S. According to the publication, U.S. imports from Taiwan have increased more than exports in recent years. For example, in 2022, Taiwan sold $92 billion of products to American customers, a 69% rise from 2019. In turn, the self-ruling island also imported around $44 billion of U.S. goods that year, up 40% from the pre-pandemic level. Despite being narrow in scope, Taiwan cabinet spokesperson Alan Lin said the deal is not only very historic but also signals a new beginning. As The Guardian reported, Lin said, relevant tasks are yet to be completed. Taiwan will continue to move towards a comprehensive FTA or free trade agreement with the United States to ensure Taiwan's economic security. William Reinsch, a trade specialist at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said the current stage only focuses on the simplest things to settle on. He told the Post, Phase 2 will be more significant but also more difficult, though I do think they'll finish by the end of this year. Trade lawyer John Verneau from Covington and Burling, a former U.S. trade negotiator, commented, its economic impact is very limited, but combined with other actions including highly visible meetings between U.S. and Taiwanese officials, its diplomatic impact could prove meaningful. As expected, Beijing quickly protested the agreement, with Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning saying the U.S. should stop any form of official exchanges between the U.S. and Taiwan, refrain from negotiating agreements with Taiwan that have sovereign connotations and are official in nature, and refrain from sending any false signals to the Taiwan independence separatist forces in the name of economic trade.